Sometimes you have to wonder why you decided to watch a movie in the first place. Were you expecting to hate watch it, like you do every once in a while with Michael Bay movies? Or was it morbid curiosity? You know, the kind that strikes you every so often and leads you to watch a Michael Bay movie. Or perhaps your admiration for Jake Gyllenhaal happens to coalesce with something unspeakably embarrassing and you end up watching a Michael Bay movie. Well, Neill Blomkamp, the director of Gran Turismo, is no Michael Bay. In fact, I want to say that Neill is a director I respect for his quality filmmaking and devotion to interesting ideas. But the truth is, I would be referring to a Neill Blomkamp that doesn't seem to exist anymore. And that's sad. If you're here for a Gran Turismo review, which granted I think I'm gonna put in the title, well, it takes 2.5 hours to tell a 1-hour story whose every solitary plot point can be guessed by even the most lame-brained viewer within the first 15 minutes. It's not worth watching by any stretch or metric, and does nothing that thousands of movies haven't done before and done better. In essence, it's overlong, cliche, predictable, and ultimately a pointless waste of time. Okay, now back to Neill Blomkamp because this is more interesting. District 9 was a unique film when it dropped, humanizing the conflict of apartheid in South Africa by making it into science fiction with wacky bug monsters who stole your heart. It's a wild premise, and every time anyone mentions Neill Blomkamp, this is the movie they go to, especially when he was in talks to make an Alien film a couple years ago. You had every Cheeto-fingered movie pundit on YouTube, all the way to Joe Rogan, saying, "An Alien movie from the director of District 9, bro. That would be amazing." Conveniently forgetting the continual downslide of the intervening years. It's beginning to feel like M. Night Shyamalan syndrome, where they put director of The Sixth Sense in every trailer. But dude, he made that like 25 years ago now. I'll loop back to Shyamalan at the end here because it's a very pointed comparison on my part, but for now let's get back to old Blommy boy. His follow-up to District 9 was Elysium, with Matthew Crypto King Damon. How's that commercial money treating you, Matt? It was okay. It had some fun stuff, but I found the action filmmaking questionable at best since it was over-edited to hell and back. And the messaging was about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the testicles. Yes, healthcare inequality, got it. An important issue, no doubt, but the film was not very complicated and certainly a step down. Despite that, it was a decent watch. And then we have Chappie in 2015. My lord. I'm gonna be honest with you, I've mostly blocked out this wretched film from my memory banks, and I'm not sure anything could compel me to go back unless maybe this channel gets popular someday and we do like hate night watch-alongs, which would be awesome by the way. But my overriding memory is that it was messy, annoying, poorly scripted nonsense. I should point out as well, now that we're this far, this is not just me. Of course there will be differing opinions for every movie, and if you love Chappie, more power to you. It's all good, we can think differently, but the dominant sentiment in both critical and user reception is on my side with this one. It just is. For all the faults Chappie had though, it was still a real movie, which is more than I can say for what Blomkamp made like 6 years later, after a long string of poorly received short films which I haven't watched. I'm not interested. Yes, in 2021, Neill released Demonic, a generically titled low-budget horror film that would be horribly embarrassing if a first-time director made it and released it right to Tubi, much less the director of District 9. And while I can understand the budgetary and logistical constraints of making a movie during COVID, it's just terrible. Like, you should watch this movie and think about District 9 and you'll understand why all of this is kind of interesting. It's one of the most baffling falls from grace in modern cinematic history, or it would be if this wasn't such a continual downslide. Even so, however, Demonic, the name is just garbage. Even with Elysium and Chappie, I'm willing to give some leeway. Like, you can tell the director has ideas and talent, even if the result doesn't translate as well for me, but I dare you to defend Demonic. Hey, alliteration. So that brings us to 2023 and that movie which is the title of this video, probably Gran Turismo, which people seem to like. Not critics or anyone I know, but people. And I have to wonder, is this the turning point? because believe it or not, I actually want Neill to succeed. He seems like a nice guy who is genuinely very interested in wild science fiction concepts, and he's proven his ability before. Now, clearly Gran Turismo is not itself a win, at least for me. This is purely speculation, by the way, but I have to figure Neill did this as a hired gun. Even for somebody who fell so low, it's hard to think that he actually had passion for this concept. So I don't know if he needed the money or he needed to do a big favor to get back in studio good graces so that they would bankroll his next film. Both are pretty likely. But in any event, the belabored point is that maybe he can pull a Shyamalan eventually. You started out strong, then went to Middlesville, then embarrassed yourself quite a bit, and then completely shit the bed. But hey, M. Night did even worse, and he's sorta back, baby. Split was great, Knock at the Cabin was a lot of fun, and I genuinely hope that Blomkamp can get there as well. I'll be watching closely Neill give us a banger next time, work with a talented screenwriter about a cool idea, and leave generic racing movies for the generic filmmakers. Because for all the shade we can throw at Neill, he's certainly not generic. Just look at that filmography, baby. It is strange. Thanks for watching. I was actually gonna do a Knock at the Cabin review next, where I talk about the whole Shyamalan trajectory, but I guess I kinda just did, so I'll save that particular can of worms for his next movie. Instead, I think we're gonna take a look at a truly wacky film from about a decade ago. It's called Snowpiercer by the great Bong Joon-ho. Watch along if you want to, it's a wild ride. Until then, peace, love, and Shyamalama ding dongs, and I'll see you in the next one.